Welcome back to Calm Investors. I am Ruth.
And I am Patrick. Episode 9 of Season 0 and Ruth. Last episode changed something for me. I actually wrote down my goals, 3 of them, with numbers and timelines for the first time in my life.
I love hearing that. What are they?
Okay. Number 1. Finish building my emergency fund to 6 months of expenses within 2 years. Number 2. Save for a house down payment of $40,000 in 5 years. Number 3. Retire comfortably by 60. Those are my 3.
Those are excellent goals, and they are perfect for today's episode. Because today, I am going to show you something that will change how you think about every single one of those goals. Today we are talking about the difference between saving and investing.
Okay, and I will be honest. I have always kind of used those words interchangeably, like, I am saving for retirement. I am investing in my future. Are they not the same thing?
They are not, and confusing them is one of the most expensive mistakes beginners make. So let me be very clear. Saving and investing are 2 different tools designed for 2 different jobs. Saving preserves your money. Investing grows it. They are both important, but using the wrong one for the wrong goal can cost you tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime.
Okay, break them down for me.
Let us start with saving. Saving means putting money somewhere safe, liquid, and accessible. Safe means your money will not lose value. Liquid means you can get it quickly, within a day or 2. Accessible means there are no penalties for taking it out. The most common savings vehicles are high-yield savings accounts, certificates of deposit, also called CDs, and money market accounts. The return is low. Right now, a good high-yield savings account might pay 4 to 5%. But the point of saving is not to grow your money. It is to protect it.
So saving is like a parking lot for your money. It is safe, it is nearby, but it is not going anywhere.
That is a great analogy. Now let us talk about investing. Investing means putting your money into assets that have the potential to grow in value over time: stocks, bonds, index funds, real estate. The key difference is that investing involves risk. Your money can go up, but it can also go down in any given year. The stock market might gain 20% or lose 20%. That volatility is the price you pay for growth.
So investing is like planting a tree. It takes time, it needs patience, and sometimes there are storms, but over years it grows into something much bigger than what you planted.
I love that. And here is the critical point. Over long periods of time, 10, 20, 30 years, the stock market has historically returned about 7 to 10% per year after inflation. That is dramatically more than any savings account. But in the short term, 1 year, 2 years, even 5 years, anything can happen. That is why the timeline matters so much.
Okay, so saving is safe but slow. Investing is faster but bumpy, and the timeline tells you which one to use.
That is a perfect summary. But before we get to the timeline rule, I need to tell you about something that most people do not think about, and it is the reason this episode exists. It is the reason I call this the aha moment episode. I need to tell you about inflation.
Inflation. I know the word, prices go up over time, but what does that have to do with saving versus investing?
Everything. Inflation is the silent tax on your savings. Here is how it works. Every year, the prices of goods and services go up by a small amount in the United States. The long-term average is about 3% per year. That means something that costs $100 today will cost about $103 next year, and $106 the year after that, and so on.
Right. Things get more expensive over time, I have noticed that.
Now here is the part that changes everything. If your savings account is earning 1 or 2% interest, but inflation is running at 3%. Your money is losing purchasing power every single year. The number in your account might go up slightly, but what that money can actually buy goes down. Let me give you the math at 3% inflation. $100 today has the purchasing power of roughly $74 in 10 years. You still have $100 in the account, but it only buys what $74 buys today.
Wait, hold on. So even though my savings account shows $100, it can only buy $74 worth of stuff in 10 years?
In terms of purchasing power, yes. The number stays the same or grows slightly, but the value, what it can actually buy, shrinks every year, quietly without you noticing.
Wait, so my savings account is actually losing money?
In real terms, yes. If your savings account earns less than the rate of inflation, you are losing purchasing power every year. Your money is getting smaller in terms of what it can do for you, and this is why keeping all of your money in a savings account, especially money you do not need for 10, 20, 30 years, is actually one of the riskiest things you can do.
That is wild. I always thought savings accounts were the safe option, and they are for the short term, but for the long term, they are actually risky because of inflation.
Exactly. And this is the aha moment that changes everything for most beginners. Safety depends on your time horizon for short-term money. A savings account is the safest place for long-term money. A savings account is one of the most dangerous places, because inflation will eat it alive over decades.
So that is why investing exists, not because people want to gamble, but because they need their money to grow faster than inflation.
That is exactly why investing exists. Investing is not gambling. It is the tool that allows your money to outpace inflation and actually grow in real terms over time. The stock market's historical return of 7 to 10% per year is well above the 3% inflation rate. That means invested money actually gains purchasing power over time. It buys more in the future, not less.
Okay, so now I understand why both tools exist, saving for the short term, investing for the long term. But where is the line? How do I know which one to use for each goal?
There is a simple rule of thumb that works for most people. Money you need in less than 3 years stays in savings. Money you need in 5 or more years gets invested. That is the core rule.
Less than 3 years, save 5 or more years, invest. What about the middle, 3 to 5 years?
3 to 5 years is the gray zone, and this is where it gets personal. It depends on your risk tolerance, how comfortable you are with the possibility of your money going down temporarily. It depends on how flexible the goal is. Can you push it back a year if the market dips? And it depends on how important the goal is. Is this a must-have or a nice-to-have? For the gray zone, many people split the difference. They keep some in savings and invest some. There is no single right answer. The point is to make a conscious decision, rather than defaulting to one or the other.
That makes sense. It is not a rigid rule. It is a framework that you adjust based on your situation.
Exactly. Now let us apply this to your goals. You told me your 3 goals at the top of the episode. Let us label each one.
Okay, goal 1, finish my emergency fund in 2 years. That is less than 3 years. So that is save.
Correct. Emergency fund money should always be in savings. It needs to be safe and accessible. You never invest your emergency fund.
Goal 2, house down payment in 5 years. That is right on the edge, the gray zone.
Right, and for a house down payment, most people lean towards saving rather than investing, because a house purchase usually has a hard deadline. You find the house. You need the money. You do not want to be in a situation where the market dropped 20% right when you found your dream home. So for a 5-year house goal, I would lean toward a high-yield savings account, or maybe a conservative mix, but that is a personal decision.
That makes sense. I would rather have the money there when I need it than risk it being down. Okay. Goal 3, retire comfortably by 60. That is decades away. That is invest.
Absolutely invest. Retirement money has decades to grow. It can ride out every market dip, every crash, every correction, and over that time, the power of compound growth is extraordinary. This is the money where you want to be invested, not sitting in a savings account losing to inflation year after year.
So my emergency fund is save. My house fund is probably save, maybe a conservative mix. And my retirement is invest. 3 goals, 2 different tools.
And that is the whole point of this episode. The tool matches the timeline. Now, before we wrap up, I want to introduce one more concept that will be important going forward: risk versus return.
Risk versus return. I have heard this phrase, but I want to make sure I understand it.
It is one of the most fundamental concepts in all of investing. And it is simple. More risk means more potential return, but also more potential loss. Less risk means less potential return, but also less potential loss. A savings account has very low risk and very low return. A stock market index fund has higher risk and higher return. There is no such thing as high return with no risk. If someone promises you that, they are either lying or they do not understand what they are selling.
So there is always a trade-off. You cannot get the growth without accepting some bumps along the way.
Exactly. And your job as an investor is to match the level of risk to your timeline and your goals. Short timeline, low risk. Long timeline. You can afford more risk because you have time to recover from the bumps. That is the framework, and it is the framework we will build on in Season 1 when we start talking about actual investment strategies.
I feel like a light just turned on. I have been confused about saving and investing my entire adult life, and it turns out the answer is actually pretty simple. It is about time.
It is about time. Time determines the tool, and now you know which tool to use.
All right, let us lock in the takeaways.
Number 1. Saving and investing are not the same thing. Saving preserves your money. It is safe, liquid, and accessible. Investing grows your money. It accepts short-term risk for long-term growth. They are different tools for different jobs.
Number 2. Inflation is the silent tax on your savings. At 3% inflation, $100 today has the purchasing power of roughly $74 in 10 years. Keeping long-term money in a savings account is not safe. It is slowly losing value.
Number 3. The timeline rule. Money you need in less than 3 years stays in savings. Money you need in 5 or more years gets invested. 3 to 5 years is the gray zone where your personal risk tolerance decides.
Number 4. Risk and return are always connected. Higher potential return means higher potential risk. There is no free lunch. Your job is to match the risk level to your timeline.
And number 5. Your homework. Pull out the goals you wrote down in episode 8 for each goal. Label it, save for this, or invest for this. Use the timeline rule, less than 3 years. Save 5 or more years. Invest 3 to 5 years. Make a conscious decision based on how flexible the goal is and how comfortable you are with risk when you are done. You will have a complete roadmap, goals with timelines and strategies.
And remember, your savings account might feel safe, but if inflation is eating it alive, safe is not what you think it is.
Saving is how you protect your present. Investing is how you build your future. Now you know the difference.
So what is coming up next? And I think I know what it is.
What do you think?
I think it is graduation day.
It is graduation day. Next episode is the Season 0 finale. We are going to run through the complete checklist. Everything you have built over 9 episodes. We are going to talk about where to put your first investment dollar. The account hierarchy that makes sure you are not leaving free money on the table. And we are going to preview Season 1, where things get really interesting. Because once you have the foundation, we need to talk about your biggest enemy as an investor.
My biggest enemy? Let me guess, my own brain?
Your own brain, but that is Season 1. First, let us graduate.
All right, if this episode was your aha moment, if you just realized your savings account might be losing money, follow Calm Investors wherever you are listening and share this with someone who thinks their savings account is enough. They need to hear this.
And remember, saving protects your present, investing builds your future. Use the right tool for the right job.
See you at graduation, Episode 10.
See you there. Stay calm, build wealth.